Hey guys, how's it going? It's Al, DraftKings Week 15. I've got a first look for you. We're going to go through all these different positions. We're going to take a look at who I think are good values this week, which players and teams are in good spots. There's a lot of solid running backs on this slate. You're going to have to pay up to get them. And I think that there's always going to be some good enough value at wide receiver, as we've seen in recent weeks. Partially because of the way that DraftKings has changed the structure of the salaries as we got later in the season. Earlier in the season, a lot of running backs were underpriced. Quarterbacks were priced lower. You could afford to totally just get super expensive wide receivers, get those mid-price running backs, pay for a quarterback in the 6K range that had some rushing upside, all those sorts of things. Then around week 9, 10, they changed the structure. They've done this in years past too. So like the beginning of the season, it's a little bit easier to make lineups. End of the season, it feels like it gets tighter, but it's not that the salaries got tighter. They opened up things at the low end of wide receiver, and you just got to know where you can pay up and where you can't. So there's some values from what it looks like on this first look, and we're going to try and find them for you guys. So thank you all for being here. Drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, ring the notifications bell, leave a reply down below. All of those things cost you absolutely no dollars out of your pocket, and they really help the channel. So if you appreciate the content, you like the content, give me that thumbs up, do the things, click the things on the channel. If you wanted to go a little bit further and you wanted to be a part of the Discord community, anybody can join. There are free channels for NFL, NBA, video games, whatever else, for you guys to congregate and be a part of the Discord community. If you wanted to join the VIP rooms, the subscriber only rooms, you can click the join button, become a channel member here on YouTube. You get a nice little VIP badge next to your name that will graduate the more months that you are and upgrade the more months that you are a member of the channel. You get some great emotes that we have over on Twitch that I'm importing over here to YouTube as well. Some of the best emotes that exist on their internet. And you get access to the sub only rooms. Just jump into the Discord and one of the mods will help you out going through the instructions folder to link one account to the other. Without any further ado, let's just go look at what we got here for first look in week 15. And I know that people are upset that Jonathan Taylor's on the cover, and I'm okay with that. We're going to start at quarterback though. We got to pay down a little bit. I like that there's 11 games on this slate, and we obviously have the 4 unicorns up here that are above 7K. So Mahomes, for me, relegated to only tournament status. And we saw this week, right? So the best quarterbacks on the slate are typically priced up, right? So you have Mahomes and his high floor and high upside at 7,900. You have Lamar Jackson, the unicorn that he is, going up against Jacksonville, who's boosted opposing quarterbacks a ton. And we have Lamar, who's doing better recently than he has for the season. We haven't really seen very many ceiling games for him. Only one over 30 points on the year. He has yet to play on Monday night for week 14. So that may change. We'll see against Cleveland, although they are a tough defense and a tough opponent. But we know that the upside's there, but you got to pay up to get it. So all these guys are pretty much relegated to tournament only because of the very narrow band of quarterback scoring. Just like we saw in week 14, most of the quarterbacks fell between 20 and 30 points. So you're not really losing that much ground when it comes to quarterbacks. So you can typically pay down a little bit more. Deshaun Watson, Indy is a tough defense. Yes, I know, but still Deshaun Watson is in play, but he's a little bit less dangerous now because wide receivers do matter, at least to quarterback scoring. So losing Fuller hurt. Losing Cooks on top of that hurt even more. It's very tough for for Deshaun Watson to be as efficient when his wide receivers aren't as open as they would be with a really talented wide receiver 1 in Fuller and a pretty talented wide receiver 2 in Brandon Cooks. Brandon Cooks is one of the better wide receiver 2s in the league. And now both of them were gone. So it's tough for him to have as big a day as before, especially on the road against Indy, but he's going to be in play. It's just a matter of how much you want to have exposure to him. It's going to depend on what the tournament percentage is. But again, we're taking more of a look at a cash game build here. Tannehill is in play at 6,700, though it is December. So take that for what it is. I think you have to decide one way or the other what you're going to do. You're either going to play Tannehill and Tannehill stacks, or you're going to play Derrick Henry. Yes, both can kind of go off, but for tournament upside, it's tough to get all of those things to happen, as we've talked about before. Only 0.7% of the time in the last, I forget if it's 5 years or 15 years, Don't fact check me here. Has a quarterback, running back, and wide receiver on DraftKings all had 25 or more points in the same game. And it's usually the cast of characters that you would think, right? So like Drew Brees, Alvin Kamara, and Michael Thomas, or it was Mahomes, Kareem Hunt, and like Travis Kelce or Tyreek Hill. They were the players that populated that list the most. Tom Brady going up against Atlanta. We have a dome game here. Brady has been up and down, not very much upside here, but at 6,600, I think that he's in play. Taysom Hill gives you a really solid floor with his rushing usage. We do have touchdown upside with that as well. He's shown over the last 2 weeks that he can throw the ball very efficiently, completing 73 or more % of his passes. He's only 6K in a pace-up game, one that they're going to have to score a lot against Kansas City. So this is a good spot at 6K that I kind of like Taysom Hill here. Really good floor and possible upside if he can get you that 300 yards passing bonus and a rushing touchdown in this spot. But I'm going to go with a naked Jalen Hurts here. The rookie started his first game this week. Either one is fine. Whether you're going to go with the rushing quarterback without having to pair him with Taysom Hill or Jalen Hurts. For the sake of this video, I'm going to go with Jalen here. His price hasn't come up enough. As many times as they ran the ball, I'm not expecting 18 rush attempts again, but if he gets 10 to 13, he is going to be in play for you. And with the weapons that they have in the passing game for Philly, I think that he can at least do something for us through the air. Either one is fine. I'm going to lean on Jalen Hurts for this video because I just kind of want to mention Jalen Hurts because he's fun. At running back, as I mentioned before, it is D. Hember, and we also have him now with his ridiculous usage, 26 carries, the game against Indy, games that they expect to win, right? At Indy, 27 carries, Baltimore, 28 carries. This should be a 25 plus carry game for Derrick Henry against a defense that can't stop any running back, let alone a really, really good running back. The 100-yard bonus is in play. A touchdown most certainly in play here. I would say that we've got a realistic expectation of about 19 points and should be able to score higher than that with the possibility of breaking a slate. He is going to be extremely popular both in cash and in tournaments. Dalvin Cook, if you wanted to go with him too as well, that's fine. Not to or in place of. He is clearly more used in the passing game against a very tough Tampa Bay rushing defense. He faces that again against Chicago, another very tough DVP matchup for him. In a game that they lost, he still got 24 touches and got 22 DraftKings points. He can do it against basically anybody. If you think that they're going to win this game, then you should be able to lean on Dalvin Cook, though they are a very tough defense. Now, Jonathan Taylor as the 4th highest running back on this slate, and the usage that he's gotten minus that one game where he missed because of close contact due to COVID, they are shifting this offense more towards a Jonathan Taylor centric offense, and I just wish that they would give him 20 touches every single week, because the big playability, the big splash ability is there with Jonathan Taylor, just like Nick Chubb, just like Derrick Henry, and you're getting him for 7,200. He is the most effective running back that they have. He is extremely efficient in the passing game, catching every ball that's been thrown his way but one on the season, and he is a load when it comes to, if he gets a hole, and with this offensive line as banged up as it is recently, he is as capable of busting a long gainer as anybody else is in the league, and coming off of a massive 33.5 point game and a 22.5 point game and a 15.4 point game. His ability to get us 15 to 30 DraftKings points is the path to that is very clear. There are other running backs that I do want to talk about on this slate. Miles Sanders had himself a really big game with Jalen Hurts as the starter here. You got to worry about one other guy running the ball. It freezes linebackers, and it gives somebody like Miles Sanders, a tremendous athlete, the ability to bust off a big play as he did with that 82-yard touchdown. He also caught 4 of 5 balls with a young quarterback not really taking 3, 5, 7 step drops and trying to challenge down the field. It means more dump down passes to the running backs. James Robinson has been where we've hung our hat a lot recently. I think people are going to be off of him after the bust game that he had last week. Good tournament play there. Carson splitting carries. I think he had 13 carries last week, and he had 12 carries and 3 catches. Hyde had 15 carries. I'm a little disgruntled that one has not separated from the other because it kind of kills them for us in terms of fantasy. We want Chris Carson getting like 20 to 30 touches in a game for this Seahawks offense in order to pay off, but he's not getting that. And now on the road against a difficult football team defense, gonna have to monitor Antonio Gibson's toe, I suppose. This may be fool's gold, but I'll be your Huckleberry. Cam Akers at 6,600 in a game that they are favored by, let me check my notes here, 17 points at home against the New York Jets. I feel like 50 touches on the ground is a lot over the last 2 weeks. If he has wrested this job, and again, be careful, because as I've said before, I don't trust Sean McVay. Neither should you. He might just decide to give 15 carries to Malcolm Brown this week completely out of the blue because he's Sean McVay and he's going to galaxy brain himself. But like Cam Akers looks like the guy that we thought that he was going to be coming into the season. This is not me taking a victory lap. He was not my guy, right? Cam Akers was not somebody I was hanging my hat on through draft season. I'm more concerned about what he's doing recently. And recently, the volume looks really good. The Jets' defense looks really bad. They should be playing with a lead. We're going to need him to get a first half touchdown here and not have all of their production come through the air, which is dangerous. I think that Goff to Cup/Wood stacks are going to be a really good contrarian way to go, with Akers only being at 6,600. And then we'll be able to find some value down in here as well if you wanted to go another route. But I'm going to load in those 3 running backs. Obviously, you can go with Kenyon Drake, who's been outstanding. I know. No way, streamer. Another 16-point game. He's still at 5,500. He's safe value in cash as far as I'm concerned with the new usage inside the 5-yard line. So he's not somebody that I'm running from. And then again, it's the COVID year, so value is going to open up. That means that we're going to need to find some value. Let's just plug in a defense. Okay, this is like the random cheap defense that I'm plugging in, but like I kind of like this defense this week. So I guess it's less random, even though it's still pretty random. Let's take a look at the tight end. Can't really pay up at tight end. Travis Kelce's 8K. He is priced more fairly this week than he was last week at 7,400, averaging 22 fantasy points a game. If we look over at the wide receivers that are averaging that amount, there's one and he's 8,800. So he would kind of slot in right here, which is way more fair than when he was down here and outpacing most of the other guys at that position, especially outpacing everybody at tight end that's alive. He's like getting like averaging 2x about more points per game than everybody else. His floor is basically every other tight end ceiling. So if you want to pay up for Kelce, I get it. I believe that in cash games this week, though, at least based on the way that the slate looks on a Monday, it's going to be very tough. So we're going to have to find some value. Gronk against Atlanta, 4,200, I think is certainly in play. Peaks and valleys because he has to get a deep opportunity, which he has done. A 48-yard catch here, 44-yard catch here. Big splash ability, and the close to the red zone and end zone usage that he gets is good, but there are a lot of mouths to feed there with Godwin and Evans and AB and the running back. So it's like you're spinning the touchdown wheel if you're banking on a touchdown from one of the Bucks, that this is going to be the guy, because it's not a very condensed tree of people that have options. So his volume is not consistent enough where like other guys in this range are. We've seen Lamar Thomas come off the redacted list, at least for the last month or so. 10 points, 24 points, 13 points, priced appropriately now at 4,000. It's tough to pay up for somebody when we've talked about this, right? As they do better and their price goes up, their percentage goes up, and the risk with both of those things goes up. So we're going to look for somebody that's a little bit cheaper and kind of right down in here at 3K is Komet, the non-copyrighted frog. He's 3K. He gets 7 targets. 7 targets is too much for a 3 target or for a 3K guy. It's absurd. You can't price a 3K guy. He should be 4,200 for the amount of routes that he's running, the usage that he's getting, the amount of snaps that he's playing. If he gets 7 targets, he will easily pay this off. And then on top of paying it off, he has touchdown upside as much as they utilize their tight ends once they get close. We're going to need some value at wide receiver. There's one guy that we're looking at who, based on injuries right now, was a running back who was drafted, was traded, was 3K last week in Smash because of the injuries to Parker, the injuries to the other running backs. If Lynn Bowden Jr. plays a ton at wide receiver this week, assuming that Parker is out, we have a really good value play at wide receiver with big play upside. He's a gadget sort of player. They had him throw a pass this week. He has rushing ability because, again, he came into the league as a running back who could catch passes. They've moved him outside. Monitor the injuries for this, but in terms of a Monday first look, I'm going to go here. I'm going to go back to the exact same spot that I was in last week. The lifeguard was active. He's active again. Monitor the injuries in this spot as well, but at 4,200 and 7 targets for a wide receiver, this is a good enough spot for us. I talked about how Watson was dangerous, but when it comes to a pass catcher, if you're going to be out on the field and you're going to be running routes for a quarterback that expects to throw it 30 to 40 times in a game, and you're one of the 2 primary wide receivers or 3 primary wide receivers out there, he's shown that he can catch the ball when it's thrown his way. He may not be a perfect NFL talent, but we've seen guys do that this year. Travis Fulgham on Philadelphia, when everybody was hurt and he was running a lot of routes and getting a lot of targets, he was a very viable fantasy option. And at 4,200, we have a very similar situation to that here again. And then that leaves us with 7,400. There's a lot of options in this range, but Allen Robinson is outstanding. I'm okay for first look going with 2 Bears in the lineup because of the upside here. Anytime that he is going to get 8 to 12 targets in a game, he is a threat. Touchdown upside, really good floor here. Minnesota has struggled against opposing wide receivers, especially on deep throws. Allen Robinson in play for me this week at 7,400. So there's your first look lineup. Go take a look. And hope you guys have hope you guys have yourselves a really good week, and look out for another video right there.
He's a legend.